The CRTC wants to know how radio, TV, and digital platforms in Canada can best meet the needs of Indigenous viewers, listeners, and content creators. Join the conversation today at crtc.gc.ca/indigenous-broadcasting.
A message from the Government of Canada.
Le CRTC veut savoir comment la radio, la télévision et les plateformes numériques au Canada peuvent mieux répondre aux besoins des spectateurs, auditeurs et créateurs de contenu autochtones. Joignez-vous à la conversation aujourd'hui au crtc.gc.ca/radiodiffusion-union autochtone.
Un message du gouvernement du Canada.
We are APTN Investigates. On this episode,
I'm Tamara Pimentel, the Manwin Hotel on Winnipeg's Main Street Strip. Many are calling for it to be shut down, but where are the most vulnerable supposed to go? Beyond the Strip. Winnipeg has the highest Indigenous population of any Canadian city. And while many Indigenous nations call Winnipeg home, they make up over 68% of the unhoused community. Here on what Winnipeggers call the Main Street Strip, the most vulnerable tend to gather. Winnipeg's lack of affordable housing has shelters bursting at the seams. Sometimes the only option is a place like the Manwin Hotel. The scene of 2 homicides just last year. In October, calls to have the hotel shut down attracted media attention. Barb Guimond, the woman behind the protest, wants the hotel closed for good.
No person should be living in there. I'm sure we can do much better than this.
Frontline workers walked news cameras along the Manwin's creaky stairwells and sinking sponge-like hallway floors littered with drug paraphernalia.
If there was an emergency place we could send people that wasn't already at capacity, places like this wouldn't exist.
And these issues go beyond the Strip.
Why do you walk around here? Just to check on the people. I'm glad that my parents could drink it because I don't know where I'd be today. Or where we'd be as kids. I mean, as adults, and maybe we could be up. We could have easily just ended up on the street here.
Barb Guimond has been here before. Homelessness, addictions, and losing many family members due to violence.
I know what it feels like to be hungry and homeless as a kid. We were homeless till I was about 9 years old, I believe. My dad used to take us around house to house, and sometimes we'd be in these places. There's stuff you shouldn't see as kids, and I saw a lot as a kid. This is why I go out there on my own to check on people, because I know what it feels like.
She used to be a frontline worker before falling to addiction for 16 years. Now she's recovered and walks alone to build trust and offer a friendly, familiar face.
I could see the hopelessness and the despair in their eyes when I go out there. Because I know for some of them, they're ostracized. They're being told that they're no good and, just they are people. They matter.
It's been almost 8 months since the protest. The Manwin is still opened, And Barb says she feels the existence of places like this are contributing to the high rates of missing and murdered Indigenous people.
Imagine the people from City Hall, they have to go by this every day.
Barb and Vivian Ketchum, who often joins her on these walks, take us back inside to see if there's been any improvements. Do you want a mask, Liv?
No, I'm good.
Forgot to bring a flashlight. Watch that. Still the same as last time we were here with Viv?
Yeah, still the same condition.
Still the same condition when they said they were fixing it?
This is one of the communal bathrooms?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. That other bathroom we were in there,
There's no tap here.
This isn't a typical hotel. There isn't a front desk with staff to welcome you. And most of the washrooms are shared. So we have a shower here without any sort of privacy.
when we came there was a girl in there and then the guy just walked in. There's no doors or nothing.
There's no tap here either. The hot water tap is missing. This is missing right over here.
Around almost every corner is drug use.
You can see the windows open in here.
Windows are missing. And baseboard heaters are broken.
There is no heat here at all. Look at this. No heat at all.
So how are people staying warm if these base heaters aren't working?
Well, the last time we came, we asked one of the guys and they said they were bunched up in one room
Okay, this
for
is
body heat. Yeah.
somebody's needle.
It's Nihilus.
Nihilus Bruce also comes here to check on his friends and family.
Nihilus. Okay, just checking up on you.
His brother rents this room.
You want it from here? Oh, jeez.
Here he sleeps on the floor and needs a wheelchair to get around.
Now what are you going to do if there's a fire in here? Then?
Oh, well, that'd make me up.
Yeah?
I'll throw myself off. Well, he had no place really to go. He was at the Fountain Block where there was a fire started and everybody had to evacuate, and so everybody was left on the street. I'm just worried about his safety. I check up on him on every other day. It's hard to sleep around here.
This isn't home. It's a last resort. And it costs $600 per month with employment and income assistance, or EIA, through the Manitoba government. One question comes to mind. Does the province know where their EIA money is going to? We asked Bernadette Smith, Manitoba's Minister of Housing, Addictions and Homelessness. She was appointed to the position shortly after the Manwin protest in October.
So we don't have operating agreements or lease agreements with any single room operators. So what happens is the tenant will get the rent assist money, so the EIA money, and they will pay the landlord directly. So they are in an agreement with the single room operator, so not the government.
Oh, this
is the back door for them. Say if there was a fire, probably go through here.
According to Manitoba Health, the Manwin has had many inspections. In an email to APTN, a spokesperson for the ministry said one was done in October after the protest. It was found that the hotel owner did not comply with a notice to repair order that was issued 2 months prior in August. It included repairs to showers, toilets, and leaking pipes, holes in walls, and adding doors to washrooms with privacy locks. According to the Health Protection Unit, the owner had completed all necessary repairs, but those issues were all still visible when we were there.
We do have health inspectors that go out and do checks, so if any of these residents are concerned about these conditions, they can make a report and the health inspectors will come out and check these conditions and they will action these items. So I would suggest that these residents make a report. They can go online and do that, and there are several agencies that will help them do that if they don't have access to, the internet or a computer.
We tried calling owner Akim Kambamba many times. All calls go to a generic voicemail. In a previous report by City News in October, Kambamba said he's providing accommodations for people who have nowhere to go. And where would the tenants of the Manwin go if this place didn't exist?
Hello.
Hi.
Excuse me. What's going on?
We're just doing a...
Did you get permission and the signature, and if so, can I see it?
Before we could speak with more residents, our tour of the Manwin is cut short.
And don't come back till you've gotten the consent from Hakeem, the owner. And if you
We later discovered this woman is a resident and was not in a position of authority, but we left to avoid confrontation.
Now, leave. Turn it off. Turn off the camera and go. And you know that.
But I wish there was better housing. I wish there was better everything. It's just everybody's just looking out for each other, and you know what I mean. It's and there's also everybody's addictions. You know what I mean. Everybody's challenging and trying to deal with that too, right? So it's just, we need more support out here.
Don't come back here, he said. I mean it. Stop. Come back here with the camera. You, get out. You ass. And you know that.
Well, I've been in the Manwin a couple of times prior to this, but when we walked into the guy's room there with the wheelchair, that brought back a lot of the flashbacks being in those kinds of situations.
Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for your help.
Yeah, no worries. All right.
Yeah, take care. Best to your brother. Care for your brother.
I'm Kathleen Martins, a reporter with APTN News. Homeless, houseless, shelterless people, they aren't hard to find in Winnipeg. They're on the sidewalks, in bus shelters, and down alleyways. They're living in tents and squatting in empty buildings. They're even sleeping in abandoned cars. But who are they? Hear their stories in my new 5-part podcast called Our Relatives. Listen on your favorite player.
Before I fell into my addiction, I used to work with, I worked in treatment centers, I worked in group homes, but then I fell and I became addicted. And here I thought I'd never ever do that, but I did. Don't never say never, because it could happen to anyone, no matter what walk of life you come from.
Barb Guimond is from Saging First Nation and moved to Winnipeg 7 years ago. She insisted on wearing her mask during this interview as she told stories that were passed down to her on the streets.
To the back of the Manwin here, around the area. The most common one is there's nothing back home. There's no housing back home. And sometimes a few of them I've talked to, they said they're here for medical reasons and they get stuck out here and there's no way back home.
My brother, the reason why he ended up out there was because there's no housing back home.
Olga Travers's brother, Tremaine, died at the Manwin in March 2023. He was 33 years old. He moved back and forth between the city and his home community of South Indian Lake. A lack of housing on reserve kept bringing him back and eventually led to an addiction. Olga spoke with us over Zoom from South Indian Lake, 12 hours north of Winnipeg. We couldn't meet with her in person. Her community has been planning funeral after funeral. Her cousin recently died in an apartment complex not far from the Manwin.
Nobody should have to live in those conditions. It breaks my heart to see that. And I know my brother also cared for them. He didn't just die there. He wanted people to know what it was like to be there. He had a lot of ambitions. At one point he wanted to be a trucker, and he was also very into drawing.
Police considered Tremaine's death suspicious. They deemed it a homicide. But 1 year later, Winnipeg police are still asking for the public's help as they continue to investigate how he died.
The Manwin is a top number one that should be looked into, investigated, what's going on. I know there's a lot that happens behind closed doors, but I always feel like the truth will come to light.
We know that more housing needs to be built, and that's the bottom line. Coming into this job, we know that there's less than a 2% vacancy rate in this province, and there's even a less vacancy rate for deeply affordable, so rent geared to income.
In April, Manitoba's NDP government announced funding toward affordable housing. Over $5 million will help create 46 social housing units in Winnipeg. But a 2021 study from the Canadian Housing Evidence Collaborative shows that in 10 years, Winnipeg alone has lost around 25,000 affordable rentals that cost under $750 per month. The City of Winnipeg has not responded to our request for an interview regarding the loss of units, but many nonprofit organizations are working hard to combat the issue.
And I'll let you take these back, my friend. Thank you so much.
Including Main Street Project, located right next door to the Manwin.
It's the morning, it's about 9:30. We're gonna go check some camps in this community, in the Point Douglas area. Just check in with people, see if they want some food and water or anything else, some clothes. We visit unsheltered folks who are out and about around the city. Some of them don't like to go to shelters. Main Street Project, you want to come to the van? It's Sean and Meredith. I know you don't like going to shelters. What are your reasons that you don't like shelters?
It's for privacy.
Yeah.
Solitude.
Privacy. Yeah.
There, I don't have it.
Yeah.
Even in your own private room, you don't have it.
Yeah.
Because it's chaotic, and chaos for me is just not. I can't have that.
Ray, just gonna take a quick look, bro, because you said you weren't feeling good.
Oh, yes, one of the texts that we gave?
Yeah. Ray. He's not home. We need more supportive housing and housing scenario where they get their meals provided to them. There's always someone on site to assist with any difficulties they're having. If we had enough supportive housing, we could end homelessness. Coffee, sandwiches, granola bars, water, anything else?
Some of us live on the reserve our whole lives, and then they're just sent to the city afterwards, and they don't know how to deal with all of how the city is. They need some type of stability that way to figure out, like for young people, that they can have some direction in life. Especially with housing, because housing is one of the top priorities, and I don't see why we should be lacking it in any way.
Across the street is the Bell Hotel, also run by Main Street Project. At one point, the Bell was considered a last resort for people with little to no housing options. Now it's a safe, secure, permanent housing complex.
So I think this is one of 3 that are available right now that are vacant. But the waiting list is very long, and we're regularly contacted by, say, social workers who work in hospitals and other referral agencies to try and get a space here. It's time for all levels of government to invest in public housing. And it really needs to be public housing. So what we're concerned about is that if low-income housing is provided by private sources, we're looking at low-income folks paying rents, whatever the rents cost, into private purses. And the benefits of that can go to whatever that private person wants.
I just wanted to say I owe it to my brother to speak on his behalf. My sisters and I loved him very much. He was one of the kindest souls out there. The Manwin was the last place he stayed. I'm so worried for other families or anyone who has to live in that place. Before my brother passed, I knew he cared for those people, and now today looking into the terrible condition of the residents breaks my heart.
The government really needs to step up for our people. We are, after all, on Turtle Island. I'm tired of our people suffering on the street. I go out there and I see our people. It's really sad. We are First Nations. We should be thought of first.
Barb's fight to shut the Manwin down continues outside City Hall. Everyone here has been impacted by unsafe housing in some way.
Well, I'm a 32-year addict. I've been on the streets. I've had a good insight to what's going on and what's not going on. Our majority of it is our Anishinaabe people out there. We are struggling with a high rate of addictions.
So I'm calling all the provincial government and the mayor to step up and shut that Manwin down. Get better housing for our homeless. And I'm not stopping until we get something done.
Thanks for listening to this story. If you'd like to hear more from Investigates, visit aptnnews.ca/podcasts. You can watch APTN Investigates every Friday on APTN. Visit us on social media and catch up on our stories at aptnnews.ca, the APTN News YouTube channel, and the APTN News app. The Investigates team includes reporters Brittany Guillot, Christopher Reed, and Kenneth Jackson, and video journalists Rob Smith and Tom Fenario. I'm Josh Grummett, and I'm an associate producer for the show. Our producer is Colin Crozier, and our executive producer is Paul Barnsley. Members of the APTN National News team also contribute to many of our stories. Once again, thanks for listening.
Hello, I'm Rick Harp, host of APTN News Brief, a daily podcast version of the nightly broadcast of APTN National News. Available on all major podcast platforms, APTN News Brief is your quick way to hear the headlines every weekday morning. Learn more at aptnnews.ca/podcasts.